Hello, dear students. We were discussing the chapter D and F log elements. This is chapter number 8 of NCERT. In the last video, I discussed about the general introduction of D block elements. Now, all of you must be knowing about the definition of transition elements and their general characteristics. Now, moving further, in today's video, I will discuss with you physical properties of transition elements. So, to start with the physical properties, see, it is written that nearly all the transition elements display typical metallic character such as high tensile strength, ductility, malleability, high thermal and electrical conductivity, and metallic luster. As you all have studied about metals, all these properties that I have read right now belong to metal. So, since transition elements or transition elements are metals, they show all these properties. Now it is written that with exception of zinc, CD, cadmium, Hg and Mn, they have one or more typical metallic structures at normal temperature. This indicates that all the transition elements are metals or metallic in nature. Now again the same thing I am repeating so that you can understand well that D block elements are metals. D block elements are metals. So D block elements are typical metals. Physical properties of D block elements, since they are metals, so they will be good conductors of heat and electricity. They will be hard and strong, malleable and ductile, lustrous, and they have high melting and boiling points. All these characteristics are about metals. Now there is one exception, that is mercury. What is there that mercury has low melting point? It is liquid at room temperature and pressure, okay, and extremely useful as construction material, strong and unreactive. This is for all D block elements. So it was the general physical properties of D block elements. Now moving further, I will discuss about the melting points. Melting point of transition elements. Now if we move in a particular series like 3D series, see students, I have discussed with you in the earlier video that D block elements have been classified into mainly 3 series, that is 3D series, 4D series and 5D series. Now if I talk about a particular series, suppose 3D series, see what is seen, melting point increases from scandium to vanadium due to increase in number of unpaired d electrons. Now what does this point mean? First of all, you must remember this, that higher the number of unpaired electron, or we can say that more the number of unpaired electrons, stronger metallic bond will be there, and proportionally higher melting point it will have. Okay, so you must remember this relation, that more the number or greater the number of unpaired electrons, more will be metallic bonding and more will be the melting point of that particular element. Now I am talking about 3D series. Okay, we have studied that 3D series include the elements like scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper and zinc. So I am talking about 3D series. As we move along the 3D series, what is seen? Melting point increases from scandium to vanadium V due to reason is what? Increase in number of unpaired electrons. You can see it is drawn here. See, this is drawn here. This is the configuration of scandium. You know the atomic number of scandium is 21. So if we write the configuration, it becomes 3d1 and 4s2. Now to show it, we can draw like this. We can draw the orbitals. So it will be very clear that it has one unpaired electron. Now if we go to the next element, then the configuration for Ti will become 3d2. It will have two unpaired electrons. And the next one vanadium will have three unpaired electrons. So what will become about melting point? The melting point will increase. Okay, the melting point will increase from Sc to V. The reason being the number of unpaired electrons is increasing. Now suppose if we move further and we see about iron, Fe, cobalt and nickel, you can call these in short Fe-Co-Ni. Okay, you can remember them as Fe-Co-Ni. So if I talk about Fe-Co-Ni, the configuration is as it is written here. For Fe it is 3d6. So if you fill the electrons, you will see that how many unpaired electrons are there in this? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 unpaired electrons. Okay, for cobalt, the configuration will be 3d7. The number of unpaired electrons will decrease. Okay, you know how to fill it. For nickel, again it will decrease and it will be left only with 2 unpaired electrons. So what can we say that? In this case, what will happen? Melting point decreases from Fe to Zn due to decrease in number of unpaired electrons. Okay. So students, what we can say that there is the general trend in melting point, which is as following. We can say that from scandium to, if we see the middle element, it is chromium and then last element is zinc. So from scandium to Cr, melting point increases due to increase in number of unpaired electrons. And from chromium to zinc, melting point will decrease due to decrease in number of unpaired electrons. Okay. Now if I talk particularly about chromium, chromium will have the highest melting point. Okay, you have to remember this, that chromium will have the highest melting point due to maximum number of unpaired electrons in this. So I hope the topic about melting point is clear to you. Okay, now this can be easily depicted graphically. The graph is given in your NCERT as well. Okay, the graph given in NCERT is this one. Okay, now if you look at the graph, there are 3 colors used. Red stands for 3D series. This red color stands for 3D series. Then blue color stands for 4D series and green color stands for 5D series. Okay, so as I have discussed with you, This is the graph for trends in melting points of transition elements. When we move, first the melting point will increase and see it will become maximum for chromium, but you can see there is a drop in manganese that I will discuss why it is so. Okay, then again see it will increase, it will decrease from iron till last element. Okay, first it will increase, but there is an exception of Mn, and then again it will go on decreasing. This trend is seen for all the 3 series. Okay, for 3D series and then 4D series and then 5D series, the same trend is seen. First the melting point increases and then decreases. Now if we see these 2 elements, Mn manganese and Tc technetium. Okay, if we see Mn and technetium, then there is a particular drop in melting point. This is attributed to their half filled configuration. Okay, this is attributed to their half filled configuration, which is D5. So these 2 elements show anomalous behavior. Rest the trend I have discussed with you. Now see, the next topic that we have to discuss is about enthalpies of atomization. Enthalpies of atomization. Now what does this means? Enthalpy of atomization means heat required to break the metal lattice to get the free ions. Okay, I repeat. Enthalpy of atomization means heat required to break the metal lattice and to get the free ions. Now if you see this trend, you should know that transition elements have high enthalpies of atomization. The maxima is at about the middle in each series. A large number of unpaired electrons take part in bonding, so they have strong metallic bondings and hence high enthalpy of atomization. Again the same thing, that since they have a number of unpaired electrons, the enthalpies of atomization will be higher for transition elements. Okay. So this was all about your melting point and enthalpies of atomization. I hope it is clear to you. Now the topic that I would be discussing with you is about atomic radii and ionic radii. Okay, very important topic it is, about atomic radii and ionic radii. First of all, the 2 main features that can be seen is the D block elements have smaller atomic radii than S block elements. Okay, and the atomic radii of D block element do not show much variation across the series. This is a general consideration. Now we will discuss this in detail, that what is the trend in atomic and ionic radii. So to understand it clearly, we will see the graphical representation. This is given in your NCERT also. To understand this graph, first of all you must know about 2 things. The first thing is known as screening effect, that you have heard of, screening effect. And the second thing is effective nuclear charge. And the second thing is effective nuclear charge. Now why I am talking about these 2 things? You should know that the atomic radius or ionic radius depends upon these 2 things. Okay, screening effect and nuclear charge. Now how is it? I am discussing that. First of all, that you have studied in 11th class that generally as we move from left to right, as we move from left to right in a given series, there is a decrease in radius with atomic number. As we move, suppose if I talk about 3D series, as I go along this series, there will be a general decrease in radius, atomic radius. Now you know why? Because in this, the number of electrons, as the atomic number increases, the number of electron is increasing and the electron is being filled in d orbitals. Okay. Now I will discuss about this in detail, nuclear charge. So as we go from left to right, what happens? The electron enters in a d orbital each time, and so the effective nuclear charge increases by unity for each element. Okay. Again I am repeating that as we move from one element to another element in a particular series like 3D series, what will happen? Effective nuclear charge will increase. Okay. Effective nuclear charge will increase. So this is clear to you. Effective nuclear charge increase as we move from left to right in 3D series. Now, what will happen about screening effect? See, screening effect, you know, as a number of electrons increases, screening effect also increases. So as I move in 3D series, the screening effect also increases. Now to understand it, we can divide a particular series into 3 series. See students, if I talk from scandium to manganese, if I talk about Sc to manganese, these are the elements of 3D series. Now if we look at these two factors, we will see that effective nuclear charge has a dominating effect than screening effect. Okay. For elements scandium to manganese, effective nuclear charge will be more dominating than screening effect. So what will happen? The size will decrease. Okay. The size will decrease. This you can see from graph also. As we move, see here, the size first is decreasing. Now if we come in the middle, we will see that we will come to again Fe cobalt and nickel. Okay. If we see for Fe, here what happens? That effective nuclear charge is almost equal to screening effect. Okay. So here the sizes, atomic sizes are almost same. You can see from the graph also. Okay. Now the remaining elements. What is observed for the remaining elements? It is observed that screening effect is greater than effective nuclear charge. Okay. So what will happen? Atomic size will increase. Okay. So you can see from the graph as well that the Zn will have greater size than Cu. Okay children. So this trend is applied to all the series, that is 3D, 4D and 5D series. That initially what will happen, as it is shown in the graph, the size will decrease and then it will almost become equal, and then at end it will increase. Okay, this is about atomic radius or atomic size for all the series: 3D series, 4D series and 5D series. I hope it is clear to you. Now the last term, very important term, which I would be discussing is lengthenoid contraction. Okay, there is a term which is known as lengthenoid contraction. Now what is it? Lengthenoid contraction. See children, if you see the graph, the blue and red line are almost close to each other. It means if we compare the sizes of what? 4D and 5D series is almost same. This is due to the screening effect of 4f orbitals, and that is why the sizes are almost same, which is known as lengthenoid contraction, Again I am repeating, if you look at the curves, from 3D to 4D series there is an increase, but 4D and 5D series are virtually same. This phenomena is associated with involvement of 4f orbitals, which must be filled before 5D series of elements. This filling of 4f orbitals before 5D orbitals results in a decrease in atomic radius, which is known as lengthenoid contraction. And due to this lengthenoid contraction, if we take the particular example, then ZR and HF have almost similar radius and in fact almost similar physical and chemical properties. So children, this question is asked many times. Okay, that why ZR and HF have similar chemical and physical properties, or they exhibit similar radii. If you look at the value for ZR, it is 160. For ZR, it is 160 picometer. For HF, it is 159 pm, which is almost similar. So, what is responsible for it? You will write lengthenoid contraction. Okay, and why is it? Due to filling of f orbitals. Okay, I hope it is clear to you. Now one in-text question I am going to discuss with you. It is given that the question is saying, in the series from Sc to Zn, the enthalpy of atomization of Zn is the lowest. Why? Okay, so as you all know, if you look at the configuration of Zn, what you will observe? That there is no unpaired electrons. If you look at the configuration of Zn, there are no unpaired electrons. So it will have what? Weakest metallic bond. So if the metallic bond is weakest, so what will be the result? Its enthalpy of atomization will be lowest. Again I am repeating, the question is asking, why is the enthalpy of atomization of zinc is lowest? So what you will write? You will relate this to the configuration of Zn. So if we look at the configuration of Zn, we will find that it is 3d10 and 4s2. It is 3d10 and 4s2. And there are no unpaired electrons. Since there are no unpaired electron, it will have weakest metallic bonding, which will result in lowest enthalpy of atomization. Okay, so I end my topic here. Further I will discuss in my next video. I hope it is clear to you. Thank you.